Hello everyone. In today's tutorial, we're going to continue and take a look at how we're going to generate these ability icons in the bottom half of your screen. Let's get started. First, we're going to create the ability icon widget that's going to sit in the player HUD. And this is basically the individual icon that's going to hold the portrait of the ability and also the cooldown timer. So to do that, we're going to go ahead, right click and go to user interface and then widget blueprint. Select widget blueprint and then name it as W underscore ability icon. Right? You can name it however you like. Inside of here, we're going to make it very simple. First, we need to put it desired on screen. And also, we're going to put in a size box. The reason why we're doing size box is, let's say you create the actual ability icon and you don't really like the size of it or you want to make it big or small, you can just update the size box and everything inside of it would actually update with it. So if I were to make the size box 100 by 100, just for this purpose, and add in a image inside of it, this is to hold our ability icon. For the purpose of this tutorial, now we're going to make it dynamic, so it's going to pick it up from the data table. But for the purpose of just to testing purposes, I'm going to go into this spells folder, see how that comes in handy, and select this icon, and I'm just going to make that the image of it. Right here, we're under brush. You can actually under image, you can select the image that you want that brush to take. Now, for me to check if this size is correct, what I would do is I'll go back into my UI where the player HUD is. We don't need this background blur anymore. I mean, we can keep it, but I don't really see a purpose for this anymore. That was just a placeholder. I'm going to go ahead and put this ability icon in there to check to see if our sizing is good. So I'm going to search that ability icon that we just created and then drag and drop it into the horizontal box. Now, if you drop it into the horizontal box right away, it looks a little skewed. So what we want to do is we want to first put in a wrap box, and then we can put in the ability icon inside of it, because a wrap box will then make sure that everything is aligned from either left to right or top to bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. There's multiple ways to do that. I'm going to remove it just to make it easy. And I'm going to search for our wrap box. Put it in there. And then now search the ability icon and then put it inside of it. And now this is how it looks like. So what I'm going to do is, of course it's very small, but this can probably be good because if you remember, the actual Diablo icon style is actually not that big. So I'm gonna just center it here. Oh, sorry, I need to center the wrap box and then also make it a fill so that whatever abilities you get, they actually get filled. Now, you can choose to go left to right, which is this horizontal setup, and then also, as you can see, is left aligned. So if I were to drop a second one in here, and a third one, it goes like this. Now, if you were to select the wrap box, and then if you were to center it, it would look like this. So any additional abilities that you get will get populated and it gets stretched out, right? Um, excuse me. And if you were to do the left orientation, I mean, sorry, the right orientation, this is how it's going to look like. Now we do want to set it to fill for now. Obviously, we're going to add additional elements of the UI on top of this. But right now, I like the way it looks. I do want to center it, center align this, and then also I want to put like a 5 padding to this all the way around. And each of these ability icons needs to have a padding around it. So what I will do is, instead of actually applying the padding here in the wrap box, I'm going to add the padding in the ability box. So in the image, I'm going to go ahead and add a 5 padding to it. Now, if I go back, compile, go back, that's going to give it that little gap in between every single image. And how this looks in the game is pretty nice, actually. So we got all of our ability icons here, very close to what the Diablo 4 is looking like. Now we do want to make this dynamic, and we want the icons to come directly from the dataset. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this. Keep the wrap box, but I'm going to rename this wrap box just to make it easier. Make it a variable and then call it ability container, because this is going to contain all of the abilities that we're going to create. So we're going to name that as ability container. Now back to the ability icon. we got the ability icon over here. We need the cooldown timer to show when the ability is used. We're going to put in the text for now, and then we're going to work on the cooldown timer after, because we do need to create the grayscale, that the circle that goes around. And now if you were to drag a text box over here, you can't have it because the size box can have only one child. However, if you were to put in a overlay box, this will allow you to actually have um, an image on top of it. Now you can't really put this on top of these widget items as well. You actually have to take the size box, right click it, wrap it with a overlay box, which is overlay right here. Now this overlay contains a size box, and inside of here I would like to add another size box because I want my text to be able to be sized as well. Now I can put in a size box, and this size box can now hold my text, right? And I can override the width and the height of the size box and then make this into, like, let's say 25 by 25 or such. And the text, I can make this go 99 because that's the maximum cooldown size that you could possibly have. And for this one, I am going to center align it, right? Just like that. And also this text, I'm going to leave the color as white for now. Oh, but I do want to change the font of it and then make it like maybe 15. So I'm going to quickly check here to see if this would work. If I put this in here and if I go in game, yeah, the 99 is showing. It looks pretty cool. I think the sizing is pretty good. I'm happy with the sizing. Again, you can choose to change the sizing as you like. All you need to do is just inside of the size box, you have the text, and then you can go ahead and change the name, number, and such. Now I have a habit of renaming these size boxes because I like to keep track of like what is in each and every single element here, because this can get a little out of control if you're making like some complicated widgets. So I would go ahead and rename it by pressing the function 2, F2 on your keyboard, and I'll say text holder. And this size box I will say portrait holder, right? Compile and save. Now we're going to go into the portrait holder, rename this into portrait, and rename this to cooldown timer. Make this into variable. Oh, not cooldown timer. Cooldown time. Yeah. And we want to get the actual cooldown time and the portrait from the data table itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, compile, save this. So when inside of the widget, you can see there's no event begin play because event widgets don't actually populate when the game starts. Even when they do, it's someone calling the widget out. So when another blueprint calls for this widget to be created, it's being constructed in rather than being beginning the play automatically. So that's why you would find like event construct or pre-construct. This will happen just before the widget is like about to be created. This one happens as the widget gets created and such, and event take is event take. It happens every single frame. We don't need the event take, we don't need this. So we just need the event construct. I'm going to go ahead and drag this cooldown time, get the cooldown time, and get the portrait over here as well. And in the variables, we need to create the variable for our structure. Now, our structure holds the actual key information, while the data table contains the actual info. The structure holds like what are the elements of this ability that we need to modify or that we need to define, while data table just defines those elements based on your liking. So if you were to bring the data table in, this entire thing would just be more static. It will be whatever you select is what's going to show on your ability icon. But if we were to select the structure, we can change it to our liking. So I'm going to go ahead and say s underscore actually I can make, yeah, s underscore ability info. Oh. And I'm going to make that into the type s ability info. This is the structure that we just previously made inside of your content drawer, ability manager, dataset. That's your s ability info that we just created. Now we do want to expose this on spawn and make it instance editable. That means anytime this widget is called from any other blueprints, you would be able to actually edit this information, in a way, send the information into this widget so that it will take that information and build accordingly. So we're going to do that first. We're going to do the build first, and then we're going to work on sending the information over. So I'm going to go ahead and get the S ability info, and this will come as a structure. I can right click on this, and then I can split the struct. As you can see, when I split the struct, I got the name of the card, name of the ability, the portrait, and also the cooldown. I have these three information because this is what we created inside of the ability. These are the three that we have. So what we need to do here is, oh, this one, sorry. We need to get this cooldown timer and set this cooldown timer to this cooldown timer. And we need to set this portrait to this portrait. Now, the cooldown timer, yes, it only gets activated when it is called for, when the ability is used, which we will work on that functionality in the later video when we're working on cooldown timer. For now, we're going to set them up both. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, take the cooldown time, and we're going to go set text. And there's a set text tooltip, and there's a set text text. Click on it, and we're going to go ahead and connect this, and we're going to take the cooldown timer, and we're going to enter it into the text. Okay, same thing for this. I'm going to take, portrait is actually the image, so we got to go set brush, set texture, set brush from texture. So that one. Select this, and then we're going to go ahead and then drag the portrait into this. Compile and save. That's all you got to do to build this ability icon. So whenever you create this ability icon, it's going to take a look at the information that is being sent over because we are editing it outside of the blueprint and exposing it on spawn. So we're sending some information through. It's going to take a look at that information, and it's going to build the actual icon based on that information that we just provided, or whichever the row from the data table that we selected. You'll see this in action in just a moment. So we're going to go in and close this out. And again, the name is not necessary. If you want to have a name, you could always add a name to your icon anywhere above or below, and set the same thing as set text for the name, make it into a variable, and then you would just drag that into the text, and then that would just work normally. So how do we send this information to tell this widget that this is the actual ability icon that I want you to create? So we're going to do a couple things here. First, in the widget, in the player HUD, because the player HUD is going to house all of these widget icons, right? So when it comes to, when it's housing in this little wrap in the container, the ability container, we want to tell it that we want you to build this specific ability and then put it into the container. How do we do that? So we're going to go here, and then again, we don't need pre-construct. We don't need event take. I'm going to create a custom event, and I'm going to say build ability tray. And here again, it needs to intake for this on the custom function. It needs to know what is the actual ability that you want us to build. Yes. Actually, we'll do this. Player inventory. Player ability inventory. This would be of the type s underscore item. Oh, not item. Ability info. So now what we're going to do is from here, we're going to create a widget. And this would be the icon that we're going to be creating. So that would be the ability icon. So if I go to Ability Manager UI, that's the ability icon that we just created, get the class of it. And as you can see, it already has the ability info. So now we can feed it the ability info. And when I created the custom event, I created a player ability, ability to create. let's rename this to make sense. Ability info. There you go. Ability info. And then I can just drag this and drop it into this. So whatever information that this is getting, it's going to send this over to the icon, and the icon's going to build it. Here, instead of adding to viewport, normally if you build a widget, you would just add it to viewport. But here, we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to take the ability container that we just got, and we're going to go ahead and say add child. Oh, sorry. I got to do it on the container. Add child. Add child to wrap box, same thing, add child. And the content that you're going to add is the actual widget that we just created. Now again, if I press play, nothing's going to happen. It's only going to show you this one icon because I have it manually in there. So let's get rid of it actually. So if I press play, again, nothing's there because we haven't really told the widget what is this ability that you want us to create the child of. So to do that, we just need to tell them, hey, this is the ability that the player has. So go ahead and add that to your tray. So for the purpose of this, we're going to go ahead in the Diablo event graph. We're going to create a simple function just to show you. We're going to go with keyboard C. And here, we're going to, when it pressed, we want to go ahead and trigger this function, build the ability tray. So the build ability tray is in the player HUD. Because we have already created the player HUD once before, the reference is still sitting here. So we can get that reference and we're going to say build ability tray. Now, the ability tray requires us to give it an input because we did mention it that it's going to take an input of ability info, which needs to be translated over to the ability icon. So to get this, we're just going to, for this testing purposes, we're going to go ahead and say get data table row names, and then I'm going to select that ability details data table. Again, I'll show you in more details. This is just testing, me testing to make sure everything is fine. I'm going to grab a random one from the actual data table. Then I'm going to say get data table row name, the singular one. When I press this, I want you to go into the data table ability details, go to this random row that we just generated. Oh, wait, gotta generate the random row here first. Okay. And from here, whichever row that you found, I want you to actually generate that as an icon. So now if I were to press play and if I press C, there it is. You should see all the ability icons generating randomly. It's only going to show you the 3 because this is all we have in the data table. And with this being said, I believe this is a good spot for us to actually stop the training video here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for following me through with this tutorial and look forward to the next part. And in the next part, we're going to take a look at creating the material for the cooldown, the gray material that actually goes in a clockwise pattern when it's doing the cooldown. And also we're going to actually do the cooldown numbers on it as well. So catch you in the next one. If you do like this video, please feel free to leave a like, and you can subscribe to the channel for all other future tutorial videos so you can be notified in time. And if you have any questions, please drop it into the comments below. Catch you on the next one. Thank you.